Hi, we are going to talk about the 4x36" belt sander and 6" disc sander combo from the Harbor Freight. That, if you've watched my video on Harbor Freight haul number 2, you know that I picked this thing up at the parking lot sale about a week and a half ago. So, a big thing about this is that you don't have to be a woodworker to have this. I mean, if you work with most any materials, aluminums, steels, even some stainless steels, styrofoam. If you're a florist and you work with styrofoam, this is actually a really nice tool to have. It's one of those tools where you don't think about what your uses are for it until after you buy it. Just one of those. It's one of those weird tools that you think, oh, it's just for woodworking, and you don't think about the other uses for it, such as in metalworking or florist work, or heck, even in knife making. It's a really nice machine. I've been playing with it now for, like I said, about a week and a half. And the big thing is that this is only limited by your sanding disc and belt selections. And really, even at the Harbor Freight, where you get this thing from, you do have a fairly good selection. I mean, you can buy the belts for it right there. 4x36. This is the 120 grit belts. Now, it does come with it already pre-installed an 80 grit belt, and it comes in the package with an 80 grit disc. So keep that in mind, that those are the two that you get. If you want to go with a different grit, you gotta buy separate. 120 grit, they have it on the shelf. Now, if you really are going to be serious about metalworking with this, I would recommend going to the zirconia belts over the aluminum oxide belts, just because they do wear a heck of a lot longer than the aluminum oxide. It's not to say that you can't use the aluminum oxide belts to give you a finish on steel. I mean, I played around with it. This is just a 10-penny nail that I took and chucked up in my drill, and it's got a really nice and sharp point now. So it does metal just as well as it does wood. And styrofoam, it does styrofoam. Like I said, I've been playing around with the materials I've had lying around, so I do realize that some people are going to just look at this video for this thing as a woodworking tool, but the thing is that it does have more than one use other than woodworking. So, and if you buy any belt that's 4x36 inch, it'll fit right on here. I mean, I think that's self-explanatory. Now, the big thing about the disc sander is that it uses the pressure-sensitive adhesive discs, not the hook and loop, or as we're more commonly known, the Velcro style discs. So They do sell them at Harbor Freight. I just have a few from a painting project. I mean, I think they go all the way down to, I believe at Harbor Freight that they have on hand, at least at mine, I believe they go down to the 240 grit. So you can get some really fine discs. I was looking online for belts. They make belts all the way down to 1200 grit belts. So it's not something that you cannot get belts for. And if you do work with an industrial supplier such as Granger, they should be able to get you belts very easily for it. Just tell them that you want a 4x36 inch sanding belt for a belt sander. So, enough said. This thing is very self-explanatory on how it gets put together. The table just bolts in down here. Now, it does come with a wrench and this very long Allen key. Now, you're going to need the very long Allen key to come down in here and tighten the platen to the actual drive shaft. So keep that in mind, that if you don't own a long, what do they say this is? Oh, it doesn't even mark. Well, it's okay. That if you don't have a long set of Allen keys, don't worry, it does have it. So keep that in mind. And this, I have found, is a 14mm wrench. So for the rest of this video, I'm just going to be using a 14mm gear wrench. Doesn't matter really in most of this application. I mean, if you want to go and get a ratchet set, most of what you're going to do with this thing off the bat, you can do with a ratchet set or a wrench, whatever your flavor is. So let's see. And the table does move. You can pull your entire belt section up and put the table here to belt sand on the table if you don't like it in the horizontal configuration. Now, you're going to need a screwdriver. It does not come with a screwdriver. You're going to need a number 2 Phillips screwdriver so that you can put the guards on. That's the only tool that it does not come with that you will need for assembly. Assembly is self-explanatory. It's got 3 screws that hold the back to the actual belt guard, and then it's got 2 screws on either side. No, 4 screws on either side that hold the bottom guard to the back guard. Now, another piece that it will come in the box separated from the machine is this piece up here. All it really needs is for you to put the 2 screws in up top here and put the bolt in here on the side. Now, if you decide to change your belts, you have 4 screws along the belt rail, and then you have one here that I haven't put back in, and you've got one here those 6 screws, that bolt, you just pop the whole works off, detension your belt, slide your belt off, slide your new one on. Very simple belt. Well, it could be more simple, but you know, for a tool design, it's actually pretty simple to take off and put back on. The one big thing that I'm going to worry about over the years is stripping out these screws. That's the big bad thing that I feel is going to happen when you take the belt on and off a lot, because these are tapped right into like 10 gauge steel, if that. So keep that in mind, that if you do decide to do extreme belt changes, that you may want to modify this a little bit to get, either make it so that you can do quick disc removal, or make it so that you've got more threads holding the screws in. Just your preference. So it's a very nice tool. They say on the box 3/4 horse motor, and I'm gonna tell you this much right now, folks. That might be pushing it. I haven't had it stall out on me, but I also know that they've got this geared pretty darn good to give you ample torque. Now, for belt adjustment, you have the knob here to adjust the belt either this way or that way. So, very simple on setup. I'm not even going to do a setup video. I know that some of you folks were wanting me to do a setup video. It's so simple to set this thing up. I really don't feel as though I could make a long enough video for setup. So I'm just going to tell you about it, and setup is practically the same as what I just showed you here. The one bad thing I'm going to tell you about the platen table is that, I don't know if you can see it, but I've got one heck of an uneven gap between that side of the platen and that side of the platen. I mean, this is almost feeler gauge territory, where this I could sink a battleship through. So there are pros, there are cons to buying this machine, but I feel that if you're gonna buy this machine, you're not gonna be doing some precision work, or if you are going to be doing the precision work, you're going to be doing it on the belt side anyway. You're not going to be doing it on the platen side. The belt does run true. I've had the 120 grip belt in it already. It runs true, and it does still take a lot of material off of any stock that you might put through it. So Would I buy this again? Yes. Even at the regular price of $75, yeah, I think even at $75, you're still getting your money's worth, because if you look at what anybody else would want for a 4x36 belt sander and 6-inch disc sander combination, you're looking at well over double that price at anywhere else. So I mean, I was looking at the one from Eastwood, and I think, if I remember correctly, you put it down in the comments if I'm wrong, I was looking at that one, and that one was $156. So you're talking about double the price. Plus, okay, yes, I get it. It's direct drive. The motor directly drives both the platen and the belt. But the whole thing is that in some ways, having the motor separate from the rest of the unit, if this motor decides to die or whatever, it's going to be a heck of a lot easier to find a motor to put on this thing versus the one from Eastwood. Not to say that the motors are going to go out, but it's the fact that that 30-40 year longevity is what I'm saying, is why you would kind of want something like this over the direct drive. Now, I know that there's the people that are saying, oh, well, the direct drive is better, and some people are saying the direct drive is worse. You've heard it run. It runs pretty quiet, and I can run this thing and still have the stereo playing, so, and not be blaring out the windows. So it's really up to you. I mean, I would recommend this tool. I really do. So please comment, rate, subscribe. Tell me about your experiences with it. We'd all love to know on the YouTube world what your experiences are with this, because mine may vary from yours. Tell us all the good, the bad, and the ugly. We all want to hear about it. So just keep it clean. Please comment, rate, subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.